Good morning, and thank you. With your permission, I've invited Richfield Police Chief John Roach and Richfield First Selectman Rudy Marconi to join me, just to maybe to condense this a little bit.
Oh, thank you, Representative Frey. We did discuss that before you started, so I appreciate it.
Over the past several years, this legislature has enacted several bills in an effort to curb underage drinking. I'm sure not unique to my district. Gatherings in private homes of minors where alcohol is served is becoming more common. And thanks to Chief Roach and First Selectman Marconi, it was suggested that our so-called social hosting laws needed revision. Let me clarify right at the beginning, as Kevin King did earlier, we're not talking about parents serving alcohol to their own children. That is addressed elsewhere in state statute. Social host laws are important because of the powerful message they send and the potential they have for reducing youth access to alcohol. Such laws are recognized as best practices by leading prevention and research institutions. And I'd like to invite Chief Roach to give his personal experience.
As a police department, as many police departments across the state have experienced these parties. We in Richfield have experienced it over the many years. Over the years since I've been a patrolman in Richfield, since 1980, we have seen the laws progress further. But with the changes that are proposed, or as the law stands, it does challenge us as law enforcement officials when we do respond to these parties to ensure the safety of the children that do attend these events and take it upon themselves to have these cake parties, these binge parties that they do go to. Our first goal when we respond to these parties is for the care and the welfare of the children, not simply to go in and say we're going to arrest people. Our concern is, and it always has been, and I've been taught this since my days as a junior officer, to get the child home safely, to get the people home safely. From there we investigate. And what is revealed is that these parents, what they essentially do is they leave the responsibility for the overseeing of the party to this underage person. And they have this difficulty in saying no to their friends because they're going to see them at school in a couple days. And suddenly they're on the outskirts. They're blackballed by their friends. We've seen parents that do go away and purchase the liquor for their children. We see parents that come to the homes. When we come to their homes, they're sitting at the kitchen table drinking with their kids. Constantly, over and over again, these parties. Do we see the end results? Yes, we have. Just this recent summer, we saw a 16-year-old was leaving, partying all day at different homes. Parents had left their kids home alone, and she ended up dying in a car accident. A needless, sad case. And these are good children, but they're placed in situations and circumstances where we're asking them to make adult decisions, asking them to make decisions that we as parents, that we as guardians should be helping them make by taking and alleviating them of the responsibility, our responsibility, to oversee and to give them a safe environment. I support the changes that Chief State's Attorney Kane had recommended in Bill 5360 by striking out the individual having to be physically present, by adding in there reckless and with criminal negligence, and by, with the General Law Committee, removing this as an infraction and making this what it really is, something that to give us a tool as law enforcement, as the officers on the street, to legislate a law which helps protect people, the children, helps protect them so they're not being placed in a circumstance where, quite frankly, they're 16, they're 15, they're 17 years old, and they shouldn't have to be placed in those circumstances. We as adults need to step up. We as adults need to be counted to oversee and to help them in this process. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Rudy Marconi, First Selectman, Town of Richfield. I've been in that position for the last 14 years. And this is, you know, to see the three of us here one day out of our community testifying together is a little unusual probably, to have a Republican state representative, a Democratic First Selectman, and the Chief of Police all together on the same issue, demonstrating the importance that we feel this issue, this bill brings to not just our community, but to the entire state of Connecticut. In my work in this area over the last 14 years, and I've taken a very, very active role in our community, but I've also gone outside of our community, HV CASA, which is the Housatonic Valley Council Against Substance Abuse, Alcohol and Substance Abuse, Allison Fulton, working with 43 towns. What we see in our community is not unique. It is a problem that exists throughout the state of Connecticut. We want the law to be tightened up so that parents will be held responsible when they're at home to know what is going on in their home. We have too many kids we're losing these days, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds, whether it's the use of marijuana, going on to more serious drug addictions, or the use of alcohol and becoming alcoholics. All kids are at risk, and we have, I feel, a fiduciary responsibility, a judicial responsibility as elected officials to our communities and to the state to take a more progressive action here and to give the law enforcement the additional powers they need to have parents become more accountable. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I included in my testimony suggested substitute language, I'm not a lawyer, I don't play one on TV either, but some suggestions that in discussion with the chief and with Kevin King yesterday, that I asked that you get it out of committee. It might be easier to use this language so it's cleaned up and everybody understands what's going forward. But if not, we could address it later.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, we did discuss that earlier, and we'll get a chance to look at it and see what we can put together. But I do thank you, and thank you all for your testimony on this important issue.